Listening to the ColbyCheeZe Gaming Podcast, your source for League of Legends news, updates, and discussions. Today is podcast number 20. Hey guys, what's up? ColbyCheeZe here. Today is August 21st, and I just got done watching the IEM finals between TSM and CLG. Holy crap! Anyways, guys, I got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. A few things with League of Legends and with Dominion mode. I also have some cool news about Diablo 3 and just some other gaming stuff in general. Let's do it. So, before I go into some of the competitive stuff with IEM, I actually just wanted to kind of give you guys some information on some changes that they're going to be making to lane sustain, or more specifically to lane sustain to support Soraka and Sona, and kind of my thoughts on that. So what they're saying is that they're going to be trying to tweak those heals so that it has kind of more of a high cooldown cost to it, and you can't just sit there and AFK in the bush and pop out to push your heal button on your carry the whole time. That is the play that they're trying to move away from. So I really like this. I don't really enjoy the whole passive support thing. It just doesn't feel very fun to play against, and it never is, for me anyways, fun to play as. Now I have more fun when I play a support such as Taric in the lane, because you can get a little bit more aggressive, jumping out, hitting people with stuns and then shatters, and you can roam around. But when you're playing like Soraka and Sona and things like that, there's not too much you can do. I really enjoy seeing games with people like Janna and Alistar and Taric. Those are the more fun to play against sports. And actually Taric is a little less, because he does have that same type of heal where he can just heal you right back up. And Alistar's heal isn't like so much that, oh man, if I do some damage, Alistar's just going to heal him right back to full. That's not the case. So I am glad. I just wish that they can make it so that you don't ever have to worry about those heals at all. It just feels like it really hurts the gameplay. So it's good that they're moving away from that. Alright, so I was taking a look at the Talon mechanics for, the upcoming champion that's going to be out in just a couple days. And I was thinking a few things about him. There's a couple of things that I can probably discuss with you. So, as far as his mechanics are concerned, he's going to be an extremely squishy melee assassin DPS. Okay. So let's just take a look at some other champions that are melee DPS. You've got people like Nocturne, you can say Shaco is kind of one, and people like that. You can say Aurelia is one, or you can say she's more of a tanky DPS actually. So if I were to take a look at some of the really good melee DPS champions, there's actually not very many of them. Because if you have people like Master Yi and Tryndamere, and they just don't really work out very well at all. They do extremely well in low elo environments, but they're just not competitive. So I almost have a feeling this champion is going to be just the same. The reason I say that is because the really effective champions that are melee have a few components to them that make them really good, which is, of course, going to be a steroid of some sort. So if you take a look at some of the really good melees, they're going to have either some kind of really good sustain and or steroid / stun, CC, something like that, that allows them to get in and do damage and make it out and be just fine. So let's take a look at some of the melee champions in the game right now that are really good. So Akali can be really good. It depends on how you play her. Actually, there's not very many good Akalis out there, but the reason she is good is because she can sit there and hide herself in her shroud, not taking damage, while she waits for her cooldowns to come back up, and then she can sit there and chase people down continuously with 3 different dashes, and then if she kills someone, she can even continue doing it again. And then you've got somebody like Jax, who, well, you can probably classify him as tanky DPS too, because as he gets later on in the game, he's going to get damage and health, but he can jump in and do tons of damage, and he's got an innate steroid. As he attacks faster and faster and faster, and as he builds items, those items scale with his damage abilities really well. So Jax is able to jump in, stun people most of the time, and just attack really fast, boom, 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 and he's got pretty decent health as well. Lee Sin is another good melee champion. He's able to jump in and he can catch people with his skill shots, do quite a bit of damage there, and then he can jump back to teammates. He's got a shield on himself and an attack damage boost with that as also, and he can slow people down, so he's got some steroids in that respect. Then you've got people such as Nasus. He's not really like top tier or anything, but he can be really strong. He's got a really great slow, and then he just turns into a tanky DPS champion. You've got someone like Poppy. She's a good melee DPS as well, but she's very unique in that she can single somebody out and burst them down extremely fast, and she can be built AP, and that's just really bursty. So I don't know, a lot of these champions that are actually good melee, they are kind of situational, and they generally have some kind of steroid. I'd say Nocturne's probably the best one to actually compare as a really good melee champion, because he's not necessarily built, or he's not innately tanky DPS. You can build him that way and he works really well that way, but he's got a steroid with his Q that makes him do a lot more damage. He can run really fast, he can jump in from an extremely long range, and he can block at least one spell, and then he's also got a Fear, which is a CC ability. Alright, so let's compare some of these things that make these other champions good and try and determine if this Talon character is going to be a good player or not. So his first ability is a blink dash, and you can't actually target where you blink to. You only can target to enemy champions, so you can't use it to escape. He's going to be a go in, and he's an all or nothing champion. So the fact that he's super squishy and has no escape, that's going to be one problem in my opinion. So like a Colby, she can jump in, boom, attack somebody, do a lot of damage, and then she go into her shroud and escape fairly easily. Okay. But then you take his next ability is just essentially a nuke that does extra damage. And then his next one is a slow, which will shoot out in 3 directions. So you can potentially slow some people down and stick to your target fairly well. Okay, that's good. And finally for his ultimate, I guess this is going to be more of the Colby style. He can pop his ultimate and it'll make him go into stealth, and he can run pretty fast. And then it shoots out daggers in all directions, and then all the daggers shoot back to him. So all of his abilities in combination are all based around damage. So he's got a huge kit of damage. A lot of champions like that are assassin stuff, they'll actually have an ability that is not a damage ability, it's more of a utility spell, but all of his abilities are damaging. So I have a feeling that he's going to be extremely like just boom, insta-gib somebody mode. But he's also going to get insta-gibbed himself. So as you're facing tanky DPS teams, I don't think he's going to be very effective. If you can get in there and just snipe out the enemy carry or mage before they're able to do something to your team, that could potentially work out really well. I think one thing about Talon that's going to really determine how good he is probably the cooldown potentially on his spells, especially his ultimate, since for instance, Colby, her W is a fairly short cooldown, so I mean she can use it in and out of fights occasionally, but if his ultimate is the only thing that allows him to do things like a Colby, which is run in, kill someone, and boom, jump out, then you're going to have to literally wait for your ultimate before you do anything, otherwise, at least team fight wise. Otherwise, you're going to have to just rely on people getting caught out of position, which again, like I said, this champion is going to be a noob killer deluxe, you know. And so once you get up into higher rank where people just always stick together and kind of pay attention to what's going on, it might not work out so well. We're just going to have to wait and see. I think if he has a low cooldown on his Q and he can just continually blink to people and stab them in the back and do some big damage, that's going to be really nice. However, we'll just wait until the champion comes out, and of course, as always, I will be doing my impressions guide then. So I want to move on to another topic though, which is the fact that Riot actually mentioned that Dominion will be live after PAX. So I'm pretty excited about that. There has been a ton of Dominion coverage now after Gamescom. We got to see a lot of games if you guys were watching the streams. If you guys have not seen Dominion yet or have not seen a full game, I suggest checking out Total Biscuit's channel. He actually does a great commentary of how it works while he's playing the match, and you can see a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's a really good quality. I definitely recommend checking that out. But Dominion looks like it's going to be hella fun. There's so much stuff in it. There's runes all over that is going to help you kind of stay alive. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I watched a match where somebody had basically 4-1 cap going on, and they were like 200 points ahead, and then boom, it completely turned around on them, and they lost by 200 points in the end. So it was really crazy. In any case, though, I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait to check it out myself after PAX, which is basically the end of this month. So just a few more weeks to go, and we'll all be playing some Dominion. What do you guys think about that? Yeah. Alright, so anyways, as far as the competitive world is concerned, lots of cool stuff at IEM. I was so excited to see the North American teams do so very well this time. You know, back at DreamHack, we got shut down, and it was all of the European teams going on and competing in the finals. However, this time, Fnatic got shut down by Team Solomid, and SK Gaming got shut down, and it was CLG versus TSM, the old school rivals, once again in the finals. And TSM just did extremely well in the early match, but they were not able to win the second game. It's interesting, though, the way they won the first game was they had an AP solo mid Janna as Reginald, and it worked out really well for them. They had Alistar down bottom, and I think that was a big factor. I personally feel that Alistar is a huge benefit to the team. If you can get yourself a great support Alistar down in the bottom lane, then that's going to be really strong later on, in my opinion. Hell, you could even do something like AP solo Taric at top and put a Taric or an Alistar down bottom, and whoever you want middle, you know, your AP carry or whatever, and just give yourself a tanky jungler and you'll be good to go. There's all kinds of different setups that you can do that, you know, are not necessarily the mainstream meta, but I think are kind of out there and willing to be kind of tweaked and played with if you know what you're doing. You can't just say, hey, I'm playing AP solo mid Janna and go solo mid and do well. It actually has to work with your team comp, at least, you know, to some extent. So that's something to think about there. Anyhow, in the finals game, it was very interesting. The match at first looked like it was going to go to Team Solo Mid. They took a really nice, 3 kills onto CLG, including the first blood, and then they took 2 towers at the same time. It was awesome play. However, right after that, the odd one was teleporting out of his lane right by his tower, and Reginald and him both got caught and picked up, and then CLG took that tower and then walked directly to Baron and made it back home safely. And I think at that point, the entire game was lost. Not only, I mean, that pretty much put CLG right even with TSM, but it allowed them to farm as the next 2 or 3 minutes of the game went on, and they kind of had this little bit of a lead, and they just kept it for the entire game. And then there was a couple of back and forth fights, but pretty much I don't think that TSM had any chance after that. It's interesting because they picked Nidalee against CLG, and Hotshot got Cho'Gath, and Cho'Gath just, by the end of the game, got so extremely farmed that he was unstoppable, and he was just CCing people left and right, and some great Nocturne ults. Overall, Chaos was not able to do too much. He just kept getting, killed. There was so much CC going on everywhere, and it was a great match. So I have to give it to CLG. They played extremely well, and it's pretty exciting. So some songs that I found this week. I actually really enjoyed the 2 songs that I'm about to show you guys. These are probably some of my favorite that I've heard in a while. First of all is one, this was actually released a long time ago, and I guess I just never heard it until now, but this is a parody song here about Alistar. Check this one out.
How about yours? Headbutting the tower, would you look at that score? Hey now, you're an Alistar, get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a Roma star, get your gangs on, get paid. And all the underdog go, all your enemies get in trouble.
For some reason that reminds me of when I used to watch Shrek all the time, back when I was younger. Yeah, Good stuff. Anyways, so the next one, now I'm not really a fan of Britney Spears or anything like this, but I am a fan of Leona, and I think that they did a really good job of this song. The voice talent was really great in it. Why don't you just take a look yourself?
Come on, hit me, please some more, while my team pounds you into the floor. Leona, Leona,
As always, you can check out the full songs in the description down below. But that's really my League of Legends talk for today. I have a lot of other stuff though that I wanted to go over. So I was checking out some news about Diablo 3, and so I don't know if you play Diablo 2 or not, but in Diablo 2 you can level up to a max of like level 99, and people would essentially just do bail runs, and they would do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again because, you know, the early parts of the hell difficulty were not too hard. But as you got in higher, you know, it got harder as you go. So what they've done in Diablo 3 is they've actually added a new difficulty that's going to be harder than hell. No, like literally, because it's the Inferno difficulty, and this is going to make the entire game actually worth running as a high max level character. So in Diablo 3, the max level character is now 60, and every monster in Inferno difficulty is going to be a minimum of level 61. So what that means is that if you, for example, wanted to do King Leoric over and over and over again, that would be fine, even if he's like Act 1 or whatever. I don't know what the acts are. Or if you wanted to do the 3rd act or the 4th act or whatever the case is, they all are going to be viable apparently because of the fact that they've done this. So I really like that. That's perfect. And I'm looking forward to that for sure. Now, another thing that I thought was pretty interesting was, well, we all know that these big companies, they're always throwing out lawsuits at each other and things like that. So not too long ago, Bethesda actually threw out a lawsuit at Notch, you know, the guy who made Minecraft, which is like, what? Really? For what? And apparently they're saying, okay, Notch, your new game, Scrolls, is kind of a copyright infringement on the Elder Scrolls Skyrim or whatever. And he's like, what? Are you serious? Scrolls is nothing like that, and it's just called Scrolls. I don't understand how somebody could trademark like a part of a name, which is just like a standard name of an item. Like, that's pretty damn retarded. So the thing that they're trying to do is make him change the name of this Scrolls game. So he's like, okay, I'll tell you what, guys. I challenged Bethesda to a game of Quake 3. 3 of our best warriors against 3 of your best warriors, he writes. So he says, we select one level, you select the other, and then we randomize the order. There's going to be 20-minute matches, and the highest total frag count per team across both level wins. If you win, then you drop the lawsuit. If you win, we'll change the name of Scrolls as something you're fine with. Whatever. I think that's probably the most hilarious way to solve a legal suit that I've ever heard of. Now, as far as if Bethesda's gonna actually go for that, I don't know. That's whatever. But what do you guys think? That's a pretty retarded lawsuit if you ask me. I don't think that it has anything to do with the Elder Scrolls. I don't think it's gonna like hurt one company or the other if he's gonna have a game called Scrolls, which is like a trading card game or something. I don't even know. I haven't really been following up on that, but whatever. So one thing that is kind of a stereotypical deal with gamers and things like that is that, oh hey, gamers are antisocial and they're really unnatural outside of their own environment and stuff like that. And I found this picture that was actually linked on Reddit, and it's saying like, it shows this guy like standing in the corner all like lonely. It's like gamer outside their natural environment on their own. And then it shows a picture, just like painting of all these people like gathered up having fun. It's like gamer reunited in the same place or talking to people with similar interests. And I thought that was like kind of dumb. I was like, really? I'm pretty sure that's very stereotypical. And apparently I'm not the only one that thought that, because soon after that somebody posted a fixed version of the picture. And they marked out the gamer outside their natural environment, and they put absolute bollocks. Speak for yourself, presumptuous tit. And then he like puts arrows to all the people in the party, and he's like, all these people are are like characters in a different video game or something. And I kind of agree with them. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, just because someone plays games doesn't mean you know anything about their personality or behavior, right? I've seen a lot of different games. I've seen some really awkward dudes that play games, and I've seen some really awkward dudes that don't play games. And then I've seen some really cool guys that play games, and I've seen some really cool guys that don't play games. It's just, I mean, it's just you. It depends on your personality. It doesn't matter if you play games or not. I mean, if you're antisocial, it's because you're antisocial. It's not because you play games. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of leave off the podcast with that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. If you did, be sure to let me know by hitting that boom thumbs up button, and I'll see you around next time. This is ColbyCheeZe. Peace out.